Good afternoon. Welcome to today's YouTube video. Today's video is gonna be focused on the constructivist theory. We're gonna be delving into the philosophies, the background, the influences, and those other good stuff. For the sake of time, I'm gonna try to be very structured in our discussion today, in talking about this specific theory, the constructivism theory. I'm gonna basically take us through the fundamental concept of the theory. Then we're gonna look at the theoretical roots and the influence. What are the other theories of philosophy that influenced the constructivism, the creation of it? And then we're going to look at what are the cultural and historical influence of the theory. And last but not the least, we're going to look at the emerging postmodern or modern in support of this theory that we're talking about today. So without further ado, I'm gonna go, straight to, the deconstructing the theory. Basically, the constructivist theory came about in the 70s and 80s. It's a postmodern theory, of course, and some of the fundamental of this theory is which I think is very, being a student of constructivism myself right now, made sense to me. The first basic concept is a concept of safety. Basically, what he's saying is you have to make the client, as a clinician, as a counselor, you have to meet your client from a creative sense of safety for the client. Basically, that it's okay. Then a safe environment. It's okay to talk about their reality, what their life experiences. That, according to the constructivist theory, is gonna make you be able to really be in tune with your client when they have that sense of safety. The second concept of the constructivist theory is relationship. Building the relationship. Getting to know your client and first of all, giving them the space to feel safe, and then trying to have a relationship, because that's how you get to know your client and be able to engage them in a way that they are. You can see where they're coming from when they're trying to make whatever their point is. And of course, the concept of respect, that is a key, in gaining the trust of your client or whoever you're working with. Building respect, making them feel heard, making them feel respected, that their issues do matter, and their voice matters, their experience matters. That's how you get respect, and that is why it's a key concept of the constructivist theory. And of course, engagement. It's in this field of counseling field, counseling education, engagement is the key. Either as an educator or as a clinician in the field, whatever you do in this field, you have to be able to engage. You got to create time and build time to engage with whoever you're working with, because that is how you are able to, build the rapport with them and have that relationship with them. And of course, what you're going to find out as we go along with this is all of these concepts, they are intertwined, they're interlocking. Like I like to say, because they build on each other. That is how you are able to effectively, use the theory by following this interlocking basic fundamentals, in using this theory successfully. And then we have experience. Like I said, people have different experiences. People have different, they're from different environment. Their life is dynamic. So their experience matters. They got to have the sense of my experience is different from your experience. Just as your experiences are important, my experience is important too, and we got to be able to share those experiences in order to, to really delve into whatever issue that is going on with the client, or in order to really conceptualize the client situation with the constructivist theory. Personalization, of course, this is an idea that in order to successfully adapt this theory to individuals, it has to be personalized. There is no one size fit all. It has to be personalized. It has to fit. It has to be adapted into individual cases, individual scenario. So the client situation determines how the theory is going to be adapted to their various issue or whatever that the client is facing. So it has to be personalized. You cannot use the theory or conceptualize the theory using the same system for client A, client B, and client C. It has to be personalized. It has to be individualized. So these are the main concepts of the constructivist theory. And the next point I would like to make is just that simply talk about the major premise of the constructivist theory. Basically, it's the simple concept or the simple premise is just like there is no simple truth. That's the basic premise of most postmodern theories, i.e. The constructivist theory. There is no simple truth. Basically, reality and truth are contextual, and they exist as a creation of the observer. What do I mean by that? It means that I, as an African American living in America, my truth, my reality, my day-to-day experience in America is different from the experience of an Irish American immigrant whose grandparents, whose ancestors came to America, let's say in the 1800s or the early 1900s. Yes, we're both immigrants, but our cases are different. Our life experience is different. And of course, there are so many issues that goes into that, which time will not permit us to discuss today. So our truths are different, our environments are different, our contexts are different, and we all, exist in different realities. And this is the key of the constructivist theory. Your truth is different. Your reality is different. Let's personalize this theory so that your truth, whatever we want to try to do, whatever work you're trying to do as a client, as a professional or as a counselor, should reflect the reality of the person sitting in front of you. So that's the key point of the constructivist theory. And then it goes on to say people see things from different perspectives based on their environment and life experience, which is what we just said. Another major premise of the constructivist theory is that it reflects cultural reality, which we're going to talk about a little bit more in a minute. Then it's interactional and engaged. You have to be able to, like when I talked about the basic fundamental concepts of the theory, I remember talking about relationship, respect, engagement. So this is the same thing. It has to be interaction. It has to be engaged in order to fully understand where the person sitting in front of you is coming from, so to speak. The next thing I'm going to cover is what are the cultural and historical influence of the theory. Basically, the influence and the culture is just that it's influenced by the uniqueness of individual story, because most of the modern theories or philosophies they kind of most of them are from a, how do I say it? It's more from a Eurocentric perspective or Eurocentric view, and it's the difference between the modern and the postmodern is that the postmodern is more reality based. It's more experiential. It's more developmental, and it takes on basically takes on people's experiences. It's all built into the development of this series. So those are some of the major influences of the constructivist theory, and of course, it has to do with what is your socialization process, what is your reality, what is your culture, what have you been exposed to. So, all in all, the constructivist theory is a theory that, in my opinion, as a student, as a counseling education student, is my go-to theory. It's my go-to theory because it's practical. It creates a sense of safety for your client. It's respect. It's based on relationships. It's based on the humility on the part of the professional, the counselor. It takes the power. It kind of changes the hierarchy when it comes to working with a client, because it puts you on the same level as a client or as a student. Let's say you're using the constructivist teaching pedagogy. It makes you be humble. It's almost like you being in the role of your consultation role, basically, and you are gaining knowledge. Listen, this is very important. You are not teaching knowledge, you are gaining knowledge, because the person sitting in front of you is the expert in their reality. So when you hear their story, and when you evaluate their story, and when you try to create an intervention for their story, or a treatment plan, or try to come up with a way to work with the client to resolve whatever issues they bring into you, you are coming from a place of humbleness. You are learning from the client. You are engaging with the client. You are consulting with the client in order to be able to come up with an individualized, person-centered, personalized solution to the problem or to the issue that they bring to your table, or they bring to your office, or they bring to your class. So for me, this is the key. This is why my go-to theory as a student counselor and as a future counseling educator that I want to be, this is why this theory is very, very important. This is why it's my go-to theory whenever I want to conceptualize a case. No matter what the situation of my client is, when they come to me, of course, I'm going to use other theory as I see fit that best serve my client. But I always going to take a lot of elements of the constructivist theory because it is relatable, is reflective of our lives, our country, our people, our society. It is reflective because, like we said already, individual life experience is unique and separate. So that has to be reflected, and it's all what the constructivist theory is all about. So that's why, again, is my go-to theory. The final point I'm going to cover has to do with what other emerging postmodern or modern theories that is being developed out of this. There's a lot, and I think there's a lot more research that needs to be done in terms of the cultural approach, to the constructivist theory. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is as much as the constructivism theory is very person-centered. It's individualized. It's respectful. It's based on engagement, building of rapport. But I still think there's a challenge in terms of the actual being more multicultural. Being uh, covering different cultural, marginalized, and individual in the society. And I feel like the next emerging thing out of the constructivist theory has to cover, or create room in order for training, research, work, address, different, even the tiniest or the smallest ethnic group, marginalized group, just creating room for the practitioner to use this theory, to customize it to people's creed and needs. And so I think that is the next emerging issue or concept that I feel the next offshoot, so to speak, of the constructivism theory. And again, I think it is well thought out, but I feel like in the actual practice of it, when you have a certain when there is not enough training, enough sensitization, enough awareness on the part of the professional, it might hinder the full benefit of the constructivist theory. So that is my take in terms of the emerging and how the next offshoot of the constructivism theory. So yeah, I hope these again, based on time, I hope this YouTube video has been able to at least expose or address the constructivism theory. Again, for the sake of time, I just want to say has been a great time. I've been able to share some knowledge and deconstruct some areas in with the constructivism theory, and I enjoy it, and I had a good time because when I'm able to research and teach or cover certain issues like this, I end up finding out a lot more than I knew before, even about myself. And of course, until I come your way again, thank you so much for joining me. I remain Osahon Aigbe. Thank you so much.